Hi, Björn. I'm excited to be here today. Thank you for inviting me to the App House.
No, thanks for coming.
Yeah, so we're down in Palo Alto, and I thought it'd be great to come and talk to you about what's going on with the whole move to digital experiences. You know, years ago, I talked about this concept of building right time experiences, right information, right person, right time. And I think we're really starting to see companies do it. And you also have been on this journey for quite some time now. About 5 years, you've been working on the cloud platform. What have you seen your customers doing with experiences?
I mean, we're seeing kind of many different use cases that are going after, because I also believe there's not a single kind of experience that is appropriate for each of the audiences. You have a lot of kind of internal employees who want to interact with their own internal IT systems in a different way than in the old days, so to speak. So it's kind of simplifying the whole way how you get access to information, how you can access processes. People want to be mobile these days. You want to have whatever access to your systems and your data, not only within the corporate network, but wherever you are on the street. So that is a big part of it. We've seen kind of new developments like conversational user interfaces, like the Alexa that you know from home is something that people expect now, of course, also in their work environment. So those are things that are happening. And then if you move from the internal audience to your customers, so the end consumers, of course, also there with kind of inventions like the smartphone that finally took off a large scale, with cloud, with the way how quickly you can deliver experiences, people's expectations are quite different from what they used to be like 10 years ago. So,
absolutely.
So yeah. That's kind of the massive change that we're seeing all over the place.
I like the concept that we're not just talking about a customer experience. We're talking about customers, we're talking about employees. You've talked about new interfaces. So I think that's one of the big things that's changing in digital experiences. We're moving out of touch to voice, as you mentioned. What other kinds of opportunities do you see in creating digital experiences now, things that might be different?
I think at large, if we also kind of take other, let's say, input parameters into account, things like Internet of Things, sensors all over the place. All of a sudden you get contextual information about where a person is, what they've been doing. You can start collect information in social networks. So the whole topic of big data provides you with a lot of data sets that you can start to sift through and kind of start to create a better picture of who is that end user, who is that consumer, who is that employee that I'm working with. And I think that is kind of changing the way how companies start to look at their business. And I always relate to these things as like they bring the real world awareness basically into your virtual perception of how you think people are using your software, are kind of consuming your services, how your employees feel about their work environment and what you're offering as a company. You really start kind of putting a data foundation underneath it, and then with means like analytics, with machine learning these days, you can start to put so much more understanding and context around that individual person that you can serve them in a very different way than you did a few years ago.
What I love about this is we're actually rethinking the experience, right? So I think the first wave when people were going into mobile, it was paper replacement, it was existing processes. Now what you're talking about, creating these experiences that are contextual, adaptive, learning, predictive, that's a new thing, and you've got new access to data now. One of the other changes that we're seeing is a change in how people think about development. So obviously we had waterfall and we moved to agile, and now it seems like we're moving to things like microservices. When you talk to clients, what types of technologies or thoughts are they adopting in this whole design experience?
I think one interesting observation is, especially if we talk about moving from on-premise, which was kind of slow and waterfall, and it was limited also in how many kind of partner solutions you were willing to kind of embed into your overall solution portfolio. The move to cloud has really kind of provided means to speed up things. And I think speed is super important these days. Agility is absolutely critical. And then it comes together with, let's say, focus and precision of doing things. So kind of with cloud, with big data capabilities, with machine learning, with mobile being ubiquitous, with kind of the real-time awareness that IoT brings in, is really changing the way how quickly companies try to live up to expectations that they have from their end users. And with cloud and cloud platform now, kind of it's not just about cost savings, it's not just about lift and shift, it's really kind of about the innovation you can provide in an agile fashion, in a repetitive fashion. And at the end of the day, I would say like digital transformation is about an innovation culture. That is important, and the customer experience you can provide. And you can only get that going in the right way if you're agile, if you kind of circle quickly, if you experiment, if you figure out what works, and if you can then scale quickly and kind of serve a broad user base, and that's what cloud is perfectly suited for.
Yeah, if we look back, because cloud's more than 10 years old now, somewhere between 12 and 15, depending on how you count it, there's really been a change from cloud being about cost savings to cloud having platform as a service, platform as a service being able to allow you to plug in these new innovations and to really be more agile. So my clients on the enterprise side are really loving the fact that they wake up and there's new functionality available to them in the cloud. And it's really easy to deploy because it's there. You can choose to turn it on or not turn it on, pay for what you need. It's a pretty low risk value proposition compared to what you were talking about when things were on-prem.
Hardware investments, know-how you need to build up operating it.
So big changes have happened in cloud, and we just talked about some of the technology changes. What do you think is next?
I mean, there's the obvious topics, of course, that everybody is kind of embracing right now and putting in their solutions in the IoT space, in the machine learning space. But I think what is kind of from the approach that companies are more and more taking is thinking really about how to become agile. And quite frankly, even though we're at the forefront of what we're doing with technologies here at SAP, and you have many customers who also kind of show pockets of this kind of cutting edge innovation that they're doing, to a large part, if we look into the enterprise customer space, they are still kind of struggling to really get things going. A lot of them are still in this waterfall mode. Kind of use cases can be as simple as whatever, enabling self-services to their employees on mobile devices. It's not that this is checked off for everybody. So a lot of them can actually start very small in the cloud space, get these first steps going. I think that's what I always advise, get going somewhere, just get started. Don't think you need to kind of revolutionize everything you've been doing in one big shot. And then you can start kind of building new use cases and bigger use cases as you go. And we see that with many, many customers. What I think is driving kind of change on the consumption side and how companies approach it is also driving architectural change. And I think the next big thing is really going more into microservices, decomposing large monolithic solutions into more digestible, smaller kind of microservices, components that you can quickly plug together. And that also drives, from an experience perspective, a mode where you go a little bit away, or where you move away from very deep technical coding into low code or no code environments, where at the end business professionals are able to compose new solutions pretty quickly and on the fly. And I think that's where we're driving things right now. And that kind of allows you to bring all those complex technologies, because machine learning, big data, all that stuff is complicated like hell. Make that accessible to the more normal person within the company, and not just the data scientist and the hardcore developers.
Yeah, what I like about this is that as you said, you're making it more accessible. There's a big mind shift, and I know a lot of companies I've spoken to are struggling a bit with this mind shift of how do you take applications and services and break them into components? How do you create more of a Lego style environment? But if you can get to that place, it's really amazing, because then you have all this flexibility of moving different pieces around and creating new applications, creating new services, and then allowing people that are really close to the business to come in and provide the right guidance so that you can build the right things and even help you build some of the right things.
I think in general, that's why the whole platform notion is so important also for SAP, moving from a pure, let's say, applications solution company where we have solutions for all lines of businesses in a company for 25 industries, into also providing a platform. Because I think a lot of those innovations you will not custom build on a customer side, but you want to look into a partner ecosystem that provides you with industry-specific or solution-specific extensions that you can just easily consume in the cloud as you consume solutions that SAP is delivering. And that's where we have SAP Cloud Platform now as kind of such a platform that allows you to, in an agile fashion, extend the standard solutions and customize them to your specific needs, because that will not go away. No matter how much we standardize on SaaS solutions, and IT departments are also eager to get rid of some of the customizations they have done in the past, there will be a need to differentiate. You don't want to kind of exactly engage with your customers like all of your competitors. You want to have kind of the better service, the better top-notch offering. And that's where this whole approach with microservices and a huge partner ecosystem becomes super important.
Yeah, I think what you're getting to there is that strategic differentiation. It might be 5 or 10% of what you do, and you want to make sure that you're building that on your own, and it's delivering that special secret sauce to your customers. And then everything else you can either do as a SaaS. And I think we have a lot of customers that are looking at oh, we might have had hundreds or even thousands of apps, but what's really critical and core to our differentiation, our value proposition. So I think that's really a quite important point of where cloud computing has gone. So now, I know that you gave a little bit of advice already in terms of how to think about scoping down projects and the like. You know, we talk a lot to our customers about there isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. And that's one of the great things about cloud is you can pull together different components. What other advice do you have for companies that are thinking about how to up their game in digital experience? Because they've already done wave 1, but how do they get to wave 2, wave 3, wave 10?
I always think is like take it in steps. I mean, as I said, I've seen customers who built a very tiny, small innovation team, basically that was maybe 5 people, 7 people who got to work on the platform, that build up skills in user interface, in mobile, in integration technologies, in big data and data management, bring them together in an agile fashion, work with your end users, with your end customers, so everything that you can do around design thinking as a methodology to really kind of figure out how a solution should best look, think out of the box, take a step back, and then grow the solution slowly, test it, work in an agile fashion. You brought it up earlier. I think it's super important to move away from having the big plan and the business case and then whatever for the next 12 months, just work on the plan that you've created, validate early on, and grow as you get confidence about the solution. I think that's the right way to do things, and then you can start scaling very quickly. So that's the main approach I see, and then there's little that limits your fantasy and kind of your ambition. So having a big vision, always good, but then take small steps and in an agile fashion move there. That's what always worked for us.
Yeah, I think partnering with the end consumer to make sure that you're delivering the value they need, you can really get at that when you're doing these short projects.
Drive it from the consumer, kind of whoever consumes your solution, drive it from the user's perspective, and then don't start bottom up with the technology and the bits and pieces, but start from how it is going to be used.
Well, thank you for having me, and thanks for the great advice. I'm looking forward to seeing the types of experiences that your customers create.
Thank you very much. Great having you here.